2. We'll go on Twitch. Why not? For people who want to watch ad free. There's the purple app. Oh, it's gone up. It was 1.7, 1.6 the other day. Oncology factor. Yeah, it's not good, bro. It's not good at all. Okay. Oh, I still don't know how to play this game actually. Probably should learn how to play something else. Might still. I said I was going to learn the buttons offline. But I didn't bother. Get a bit of volume. What's funny? It's a dumb debate. You can't discuss anything because you agree. So how's it dumb then? What brought you to the point where you agree? Smoking is harmful. That's probably not the smartest thing to say at the beginning of the stream. My bad. Forgot where I was. Oh, the algorithm, hey. It doesn't like this kind of talk. Alright, considering what I've just said, let's just reboot straight off the bat. Also, can't start playing Tekken as well. Algorithm does not like that. Me talking as if I know what the algorithm wants. If I knew that, bruv. Listen. If I knew the secret. As seen on TV. Oh, I forgot. We gotta do like audio tests and all that. Truth be told, this probably will not be seen in the algorithm. I've been away for a few days, and I said something interesting at the very beginning of the stream. So this is going to be a happy place for some people and a triggering place for other people. But I can't even... suspicious. It's not even visible. I think it'll be just fine either way. Starting from the beginning again. Wow. That is loud. I think we've got some issues here. We have to restart it. Oh well, trying to stream 3 times in an evening is not gonna work. So I'm basically doing myself in the algorithm. May as well play Street Fighter or something now. Orange juice? Why orange juice specifically? That's so weird. I didn't know that. When did they release that information? So you're saying it's like adrenaline. That's probably what has people so hopped up. It's not gaming. It's chatting. Alright, this might work this time. Might not work this time. Who knows? Visual. It's a bit blurry because of the sun. But hey. Wait, so the initial use is a placebo, is that what you're saying? Oh, okay. That's, we have to build this algorithm back up now, man. That sucks. So many bad actors among us. Yo. Man, that's loud. Test 1, 2. Eventually, we'll be able to do this alone, but currently, it's not a thing. It's not a possibility. Well, it is, but I'll speak about that some other time. Alright, so look, it's not showing this in the algorithm at all for some reason, which is strange, even though someone is clearly up here. It says 0. Oh, I'd have to do this all again to restart it. What is this?
Tournament for you, boy.
Don't you dare. No. Ooh. Yeah, I think I have to restart it. Apparently I can't stream right now. It's just on 0. Stuck on 0. What in the world is going on here? Dude. It's stuck on 0. What is this? Well. Yeah, something is totally wrong. Monitoring live. There's nothing there. How can it stay on 0? That doesn't make sense. Oh, well. Some nonsense happening. Alright. It doesn't seem like I can do anything about this, so I'm just going to play a bit. I'll reboot it in a minute. See if that changes anything. Why do I think it should be banned? It unalives a lot of people. It hurts even more in a way. I think the production and the consumption of it is immoral. Do you agree or do you disagree? I was trying to think of a way to put in a syllogism earlier on, but it's just a mess. Yeah, I can't see the chat. So yeah, 8 million people a year it unalives. 1.6 million, or some say close to 1.7 million of those people are actually secondhand smokers. So it's like they're not even smokers themselves. They've been unalived. Yeah, that's not actually true. Like you saying their decision unalived them, but it didn't. Right? For instance, I can't remember the exact figure, but majority. Actually, I'm just gonna find out after I get rid of this guy. So, majority of people who begin smoking between the ages of 10 and 20. You're not actually capable of what they end up chemically dependent before 18. So you're not actually capable of making an informed decision about that yet. So it's not their decision. They've actually been coerced. Like they're, in a way, you could say like their autonomy has been robbed from them by big corp. Let's find out the exact figure. What's already medically proved? What are you talking about? Oh, so it's over 80% of adult smokers start smoking before the age of 20, with the vast majority beginning as teenagers. Research indicates that nearly 9 out of 10 people who smoke daily first try it by the age 18. The other stat was that they were chemically dependent before the age of 18. So they're not making an adult informed decision. In fact, both with cannabis and tobacco, it damages your, well, tobacco not so much your brain, but cannabis damages your brain development, your prefrontal cortex. So that literally helps inhibit your ability to make sound choices in the first place. So it's not actually true. It's not their choice at that point. So they've been coerced at that point. But hey, if you want to come up and talk about it, let's do that. We're like being suppressed an algorithm, obviously, because of the type of topic that we're talking about. You know, the type of emotions that addicts feel about this. Doesn't really help, but it doesn't mean I'm not gonna keep fighting a good fight. So, however long I'm gonna decide to stay, which I'm gonna put a timer on now. Yep, the Rat King. I agree. I haven't researched alcohol stats yet, but soon I will, and I'll do a live about banning alcohol too. I have in the past, but that was before people were able to actually call up and talk to me. Now people are able to call up and talk to me. People seem to be very shy about their addictions. It's usually like people who are like ridiculous or like just emotional. I'll take both, but hopefully I can make you see reason. Yeah, see, well, that's true, but there are other ways to make money. So the thing is, Noodle, right? In the UK, we make £7 billion a year from tax and tobacco sales, right? I think that's including vapes. But it costs the country 44 billion in healthcare, in lost productivity, and in various other ways directly correlated to tobacco consumption. So it doesn't even balance out. And if you were just to think on an interpersonal level, right? For someone who quit smoking, they'll save about £3,000 to £6,000 a year. So individually, people will be more wealthy, and they'll have a better quality of life. So actually, if anything, it's a big drain on our society to have people smoking. Think about it: £7 billion gained from tax versus £44 billion spent on healthcare and other resources to like support smokers. What's up, Rip Noseball? Yeah, I do Levski, but we have to get to it. Oh, that's terrible, rest. But that's what I'm saying, Res, right? So there's a series of events that led up to you making that action. How old was you when you were 12, right? So there's a series of things that led up to that action, and most of that is coercion, manipulation, and influence. That is why a majority of smokers start before the age of 18. Like, it's not a rational, sensible decision. There's at no point does it make sense. Okay, so. And then you also got to think, right, for like, you know, like people have to say big pharma, but in a sense this is kind of this is parallel to big pharma, you know, because one thing hurts you, the other thing temporarily band-aids that thing. So they are parallel industries. But that being said, right, you could say the tobacco industry's model is to literally get kids on it so they can have them as customers for life. There's no point of a tobacco company trying to market to like 60-year-olds, 50-year-olds. That's like, it's literally not their like, it doesn't make any sense, right? And the figures demonstrate it, right? 80% of all smokers begin smoking before the age of 18, right? So only 11% of smokers ever start to smoke after the age of 25 when their brain is fully developed. So what does that tell you? And guess what? There are 1.3 billion smokers in the world. Okay. Interestingly enough, right, smoking is the cause of 10% of all deaths annually. 10%. 1.3 million people. So 8 million people every year dying because of smoking directly. Well, 7 million are dying from smoking directly, and about 1.7 to 1.6 ish are dying from secondhand inhalation. Like obviously, cannabis and other substances being smoked are also in that figure as well. People think cannabis is just completely harmless. It's nonsense. That's also propaganda. But anyways, folks, can we tap that like? Obviously, this is a type of subject that people are going to get emotional about. They won't want people to hear this because it's going to like make them look bad. But please tap that like if you agree with the mission that we're trying to achieve here, which is ultimately to help people. I do read the comments. I just I'm doing something, as you can see. How about you tap that like? Show me you want to actually interact. No, I think banning alcohol would actually work for society greatly. Alcoholism, I'll get the facts and the statistics in a minute, but alcoholism is just as bad, if not worse, than tobacco consumption because of the long-term health consequences. And again, it's not like your personal private autonomy basically leaks onto other people's autonomy involuntarily. So basically, like your private consumption isn't just your private consumption. It costs the countries and that on your interpersonal relationships, your family and your friends, and then on the NHS and any other services you interact with following some kind of incident. Yeah, we're talking about both, bro. I agree. I cannot disagree. It's like CJ. Alright, Silas, give me a sec, right? And just try and get to a safe zone. Yeah, I'm dead. Let's just die. Die then, or not. Yeah, I died. Folks, please tap that like. Let's share this stream out. Let's talk to some folks. See what their opinion is on this matter. Whose name is Puritan? That's crazy.
Yo.
What's up, Silas? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. I just want to know more about your opinion.
What exactly? Is this the Afro Samurai? No? Sorry.
Like...
Yeah, go on.
So, like, when you mean smoking, like, do you mean, like, certain drugs? Because I believe that certain drugs should be banned, but not all drugs. I think that alcohol should be banned, but alcohol is one of the worst drugs ever, the most addictive, and when you try to get off of it, you can't. Your body kills itself.
No, I agree. I agree with that. But what are the ones you don't want to see banned?
I use marijuana. A lot of people who have PTSD, who have schizophrenia, bipolar.
You shouldn't
use marijuana. It calms your.
No, it doesn't. You guys are being misinformed. I've noticed that Americans keep being told this for some reason. You are severely misinformed. Cannabis is linked to schizophrenia and psychosis, bro. It's literally the cause of it. I don't know, like, what you guys are doing in America. It sounds like what happened in the 60s with cigarette politics. Like, I really should show you guys a couple videos of that. Like, who is misinforming you like this?
I myself, I do have schizophrenia, and my father does have schizophrenia. And when I smoke marijuana, it genuinely goes away. It helps a lot.
Significantly high risk if that is the case, right? People who have a history of mental health issues in their body, them personally and in their family, at significantly higher risk of having long-term issues mentally if they start using cannabis, bro. Like, you shouldn't, like, you're literally like it'd be like someone with like a damaged immune system being exposed to diseases. Like, you're risking your whole life, bro. That you like,
have to balance it out.
Like,
you can't smoke it all day and just sit around and like do nothing all day and smoke. You have to be physically fit.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to. I hit the gym every day.
Yeah, brother.
Every day.
But you're not deep.
I hit cardio all the time.
You're not deep in it though, right? So the issue is, right, the substances in cannabis, right, however they interact with your endocannabinoid system, whatever that is, right, in your brain, basically it dumps your dopamine and it stops you from producing it, so you become chemically dependent on that feeling, right? Also, it actually damages your prefrontal cortex, meaning you can't make good decisions. Basically, it messes up your cognitive functions long term. And there's a well-studied and established link between long-term marijuana use, psychosis, and schizophrenia, and other mental health issues. And it it increases significantly if you've got a family history of that as well. So the best way, put it this way, like to like paraphrase that old movie War Games, if you want to win, the only way to win is not to play. It's you think that it's reducing those symptoms for you, but
nobody has ever died.
That's temporary. That's temporary relief. No, people have died in marijuana.
No.
Yes,
no,
of course. No, listen to what I'm about to say to you, right?
No.
Listen to what I'm about to say to you, right? Don't let your cognitive bias jump in the way here, right? I'm not saying that it's an overdose type of death, but there have been marijuana related deaths. Okay, people who use marijuana, that basically at the point in which you're in contact with I forget what it's called, right? A psychoactive substance, right? The feeling of being high itself impairs your cognitive functions.
It's not a psychedelic.
What are you talking about? It's psychoactive, okay? Psychoactive means it basically triggers your mind in certain ways, right? It alters your brain chemistry, correctly. All right, so that's what psychoactive means.
The only way somebody has ever died from smoking marijuana has because somebody has put something else in there. There's no harmful properties that is going to kill you.
There are. That's what I was just explaining to you, right? So being under the influence of marijuana, right, it damages your cognitive functions, your executive functions, the ability to hold thought, memory, recognition, motor functions, right, orientation, all these kinds of things, right? So while you're under that state, people have definitely died. Drug driving, operating machinery, making bad decisions, like poor judgment. The substance itself may not kill you directly, but the effects of the substance can be like accounted for mortality. That's what I'm trying to say to you. So like painting it as a propaganda, like, oh, marijuana itself doesn't kill you. Yeah, we know, right? But the decisions you will make whilst under the influence could potentially influence your death.
That's not marijuana. Right? That's the person.
No,
that's
bro.
Something that they thought of. That's in your head. If you're not gonna randomly pop it in your head because of the drug. It's already in your head when you first get high. No, bro. That's how drugs work.
No, man. If
it's not gonna pop in your head. It's something that's been in your head. That's how drugs work. Whenever you get high and you're tripping out, it's because you see something or you think of something in your head and your body goes, wow, that's really cool, and goes fully into it. That's how trips work. That's how your cognitive functions happen when you're high. Right,
so you're making a mistake, right? Like I'm saying to you, if you are a biochemical being, meaning like you walking around, you are made up of various different chemicals, right? That's what makes you a human, right? You're a biological being. Majority of you is chemical reactions. Your blood flow, all of these various autonomous systems, respiratory, etc. That's all chemical reactions happening in your body. If you introduce a chemical to your body, the environment, like imagine your body's like a petri dish, okay? And everything is functioning as it should. If you introduce chemicals to that petri dish, you change the makeup of what's in the petri dish already, okay? So when you do that to your body, e.g. your mind, while you're on a substance, it does influence the type of thoughts you have, and the types of decisions you will make, right? It's as simple as that. You saying that the ideas in their head already isn't necessarily true, right? They influence each other, right?
No, I don't see where you're getting at.
Well,
like
that's sad for you. I have in the past, yeah.
You have in the past?
So here are some things that you might want to like look into, right? So obviously, like I said, overdoses are kind of rare, but people do YE and they do get excessive vomiting, which also can cause like other complications. But so leading causes of cannabis-related deaths, cardiovascular complications. Smoking or ingesting cannabis can elevate heart rate and blood pressure, which may trigger fatal heart attacks or strokes in individuals with pre-existing heart conditions. That's Sage Journals, whatever that is. Traumatic injury. Cannabis significantly impairs coordination, like I was just saying to you, judgment and reaction times. Driving under the influence or engaging in hazardous activities after consumption substantially increases the risk of fatal incidents. That's Medical News Today. Synthetic cannabinoids. Man-made chemical alternatives, e.g. spice. Some of you man think you're smoking weed, but you're on spice. Is designed to mimic THC Sorry, I'll read it again. Man-made chemical alternatives, e.g. spice, designed to mimic THC, are highly toxic, unpredictable, and frequently linked to fatal overdoses. Then you've got psychiatric episodes, right? Like I was just saying to you, the dangers of cannabis and already held mental health issues, okay? So in rare cases, especially involving high-potency cannabis, this is usually anything that's over 20% THC. Right? Anything under 10% is like medicinal use. Anything over 20% is like considered high potency, which is unnatural. Okay, so in rare cases, especially involving high potency cannabis or individuals with underlying vulnerabilities, acute psychotic episodes can lead to tragic outcomes like unalivement. Okay, and there's other information as well, like National Institute of Health is a government website we have over here. Official Office of National Statistics is something we have over here as well. So there are cannabis related deaths, right? Just to be frank with you, but the view that you're just going to smoke one spliff and die from the spliff isn't true, right? That is a myth. Okay, but there are cannabis related deaths. Okay.
How so? Can you list them and explain them?
I literally just did. This is what weed does to your brain. I literally just did. I literally just did. Oh my god. Oh my god. Right. Oh my god. I literally just did. Right. No, I wouldn't even look personally. Right. That would right. So personally, I wouldn't do that. That'd be an anecdotal type of thing, which doesn't really account for much. But in general, we're talking about the cases of all like drug-induced mortality, right? So it comes down to the things I just said to you: the cognitive impairments, psychiatric episodes, and synthetic interactions, and then traumatic injuries, right? All these kinds of things. Oh yeah, and cardiovascular complications, right? The speeding up of heart, etc. So I told you some of the things that are linked to marijuana deaths. Right? Specific cases, who gives a shit? Right? With all due respect, I mean, not to disrespect the people that are dead, but like, who gives a shit? Right?
But I mean, that's your opinion, man.
I mean, look, if that's what makes you feel better, then it's just my opinion, right? And like 8 million people ain't dying a year from smoking related things. It's just my opinion.
I mean, people drink alcohol every day.
Of course. That's a red herring.
I don't think alcohol should be a thing. Both my grandfathers died from it. I will never touch alcohol today. Because they tried to quit for their family and then they just died from it. Because they stopped drinking and they just died.
Listen, I'm coming from an environment where I've seen like firsthand what marijuana addiction does to people's lives. It also destroys families and unalives people to an extent, right? The type of decisions people will be making based on their drug dependency is very crucial, bro, and it's undeniable. Okay, so
that's with any drug dependency.
Yes, but this is the thing.
You could argue that about anything.
Right, but remember the point I made to you earlier on. The only way to win is not to play. Don't take any substances. The moment you become chemically dependent on something, you're effed, right? You're in a cycle of addiction. Now, you can come out of that. And there's lots of people and lots of ways to help you do that, come out of it. But the moment you're chemically dependent on something, you're in the trap already, okay? Whether it's alcohol, whether it's nicotine, whether it's cannabis, whether it's harder drugs, okay? You're already in trouble, right? But you have to be able to recognize that you're in trouble. Not like, oh, it's just okay, just a little bit won't hurt. No, like, if someone came up to you and say, hey, would you mind just like, you know, stabbing yourself a little bit, you'd probably say no. Or someone said, look,
that's on how much money first.
No money on the table, just in general. Just like let someone come up to you and say, excuse my language, I don't want to trigger anybody here, but if someone come up to you and say, hey, do you mind just like killing yourself just a little bit, right? The rational answer is going to be no, right? Self-harm is irrational. If drugs cause self-harm, then taking drugs is also irrational, right? Or taking cigarettes is irrational. So it just doesn't make sense to do. That's what I'm saying to you.
Use like, bro, for like pot, like you just have to use it in moderation. Just
folks, just tap that like. Hey brother, I gotta ask you, can you take off your camera, please? I didn't notice it was on. Appreciate that, bro. Gotta be safe on the internet.
Oh, I got Shafam.
Right, specifically what we're talking about. Now, I'm willing to take the the lashback, whatever it's called, from what I have to say, but I don't really know you like that, so or the blowback, whatever they say, the fallout. But yeah.
Alright, bruv. That's all I've got to say, mate.
Look, man, addiction doesn't make sense, bro. Addiction robs you of your free will. So
I think addiction is something more of a willpower.
No, brother, it's part of it. Don't get me wrong.
For a lot of drugs that don't have a what is it? I'm blanking. What the fuck?
Oh, I wonder why.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, because cannabis affects memory, doesn't it? Right, those cognitive functions
No,
that are so important. Right? Yeah, exactly. Those cognitive functions that are so important for daily life to function as an adult. Right, cannabis inhibits those. Right, it damages those long term. Okay? That's why you forgot. But that being said, can I ask you a question? Right, when did you first begin to smoke?
I would say, we'll be the last, like 13.
That's unfortunate, bro. Now, do you think at 13 you're able to make critical decisions about your future health and your future freedom?
At the time, yes.
You do? You think a 13-year-old can make those kinds of decisions?
Yeah, no, I was actually like, I'm not even bullshit. I was very mature at 13.
Nonsense, brother.
I had to learn how to grow up. Really
Listen, brother, let me tell you something, right?
My childhood was like crushed because my mom and my dad got a divorce, and I had to like switch between houses. And then,
understood.
And then like my dad had to be in the ghetto, so I had to learn how to be
the ghetto,
like in the ghetto, you know.
Let
me
just tell you something,
living in the ghetto.
Let me tell you something. It's very important that you hear this and other people hear this, right? Whenever you find yourself maybe under the age of 25, right, and you've got adults telling you you're so mature, right? That is manipulation. That's a predatory type of manipulation. Nobody under the age of 25 is mature, right? That's the whole point. Your brain isn't developed yet. So it's both a trauma response and a type of manipulation that is ultimately predatory, okay? You aren't mature enough to make decisions at that age at 13. You just simply aren't, brother. Your mind doesn't have that capacity. Now, you may be able to make decisions and cope with the fallout. You may even make a decision that turns out to be good. But the reality is you didn't have the cognitive functions to make a good, informed decision. It's like no one, again... Yeah. If someone said to you, hey, would you kill yourself? Like, just for nothing, for no good reason, you're going to say no. Right? In the same context, this is what's happening. Right? Beginning smoking is killing yourself, right? And other people. So it's not rational.
You got to have a strong will. You know? Like,
bro,
if you have a strong will, bro,
now you can develop.
Like, if you have a strong will, bro. If you just have a Kobe mentality and just dog that shit out, bro.
Yeah, but if you had a Kobe mentality, you'd never start. You'd be Black Mamba from the beginning, right? You'd be locked in. That's the problem, right? You're missing. You're missing it, bro. You're missing the point, right? You're at 13, right? Your choices are actually dictated to you sociologically, right? So it happens through a system of coercion.
Like twice a week.
Coercion and influence. No, but hear what I'm saying to you, bro. At 13, even today, right? So there's an old saying: no one is immune to propaganda. If you think you're immune to propaganda, you've already been gotten, right? You've already been propagandized, okay? Same thing could be said about influence, right? So at the point in which you decide to pick up a spliff or a cigarette or a vape at 13, your decisions leading up to that point have been coerced systemically, okay? That's not a normal, natural activity for a 13-year-old anywhere in the world. It's the environment around you and the media you've consumed. It's not natural.
In America.
Oh, this is in the UK too, bro. You're not like, again, 80% of all smokers start before they're 18. 80%, and there's 1.3 billion of them. Right, so it's something that's happening on a systemic level, bro.
Type shit.
Right, I see you chatting in the chat, bro. It means you're not really listening to what I have to say, but
no, I am listening to what you're saying.
I think you can get past this phase, alright? I can't really give you resources over here in the UK at the minute, but I'm sure there's resources to help you over there.
I'm a smart individual.
Good luck to you, man.
Yeah, I'm a senior in high school, bro. I'm 19. I got straight A's, bro. I got 4.1.
That's good, bro. That's very
Like
good.
there's nothing holding me back. I'm
Yes,
like,
there is something
if you
holding you
have a
back.
strong will, if you have a strong
There is something
willpower, you
holding
can
you
literally
back.
do anything.
Now think about it. If you're able to do that at this level, right? It's like, have you ever watched Dragon Ball Z? Like back in the day, one of the biggest training gimmicks in Dragon Ball Z would be weighted clothes, right? So Piccolo would wear weighted clothes, Goku would wear weighted clothes, right? And the gimmick was they're all the time while they're battling, they're doing all these incredible things. They're being weighed down by this ridiculous amount of weight. So the minute they liberate themselves from the weight, they become stronger and faster and better. Okay, so in this instance, what's holding you down as a weight is the substance. So if you're getting straight A's now, you might have been the type of kid that could have gone straight to college or gone straight to uni. You don't know. Like, it's actually well studied that marijuana reduces ambition, like, and messes up relationships. Basically, it just drives people to be dull and mundane because of the dopamine raise in your mind. It makes you comfortable with essentially doing nothing. Right? So just think about what you could be. Right? You still got time.
I already know what I'm gonna be.
All right.
I literally graduate. I graduate in 2 months. I'm out this shit. I was just born late in the year, and I started school late. So like, yeah, low key just made me, be like a chud.
A chud,
19 in high school, bro.
Sure.
Like,
Oh wait, well, that's crazy. I just realized what you said. Well, you guys' timetable works way different than our timetable. Like,
no, okay,
19 in high school is crazy. That's insane. Sure, you wasn't held back a couple. I was just playing, bro. That's low-key crazy. Right, there aren't look, there aren't positives of smoking, right? Those positives do not outweigh the negatives. It's as simple as that, okay? Temporary raise of dopamine can be gotten in so many other ways, right? Without developing a chemical dependency, without destroying your respiratory system and your brain long term, okay? So the pros aren't even anywhere close. It's like, oh, it makes me feel good, right? You lot should go watch that clip from I forget what it's called, but there's an old Halle Berry clip, right? That's you right now. But anyways, right? Look, for the old people who know, they know, right? But yeah, like, look, all I'm saying to you is you should give it up. It's before the age of 25, you've literally lost 6 to 8 IQ points, and it's well studied, well documented, okay? So if you want to pick it back up after 25, be an idiot then, but as it stands, you've basically been robbed of your childhood. And you can get your freedom back.
Alright, bro. See you later, bro.
Alright, good luck to you, my friend. I'm getting jumped. Alright, so yeah, I'm not really like locked in on debate-wise, but I will in the next couple. So if you could, folks, just tap the likes. Let's get up. Oh, someone dropped. Someone wanted to speak, but they changed their mind. Look, I'm totally against the tobacco industry, and so even being like openly against the tobacco industry is like super risky. Historically has been, and like going forward it will be. But if we can raise the public consciousness around this issue, then it's less risky to speak out about these things because everyone will know. But yo, what's up, Derek? How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Good, bro.
So what are you talking about when you say smoking should be banned? Like anything you smoke, tobacco, weed?
Yeah. I'm primarily focused on the tobacco industry, but considering the type of topic, people just can't see. To put it this way, tobacco smokers usually end up smoking weed. Weed smokers usually end up smoking tobacco. So they're kind of very closely interlinked. So both. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of subjects where like when somebody says something like this, I can agree as like a general moral precept. I can agree on paper, but there's also like in a perfect world, you're right, but then there's also the pragmatic side, like how are you going to accomplish that?
Oh, brilliant. There's lots of plans about this, right? Basically, in the EU, well, I can speak for the UK, but the EU is actually rolling this out as well. So it's a long-term war of attrition against tobacco companies, right? And eventually, cannabis is going to become tobacco 2.0, which is going to make the fight doubly hard. So when I say banning it, right, it's not a matter of making it illegal overnight. The idea of banning a substance, you can ban a substance, make it prohibited, regulate it, which is the strategy, make it prohibited and regulate it, but not criminalize the users. So what you do is you find them, you force them to have education, drug-related education, and attend various different things, right? But that's on the interpersonal level, how you police it on the street. So it wouldn't be actually policed by police. It'd be like a, you know, like if you get a parking ticket, similar type of thing. Okay, so it'd be like a council, societal, social type of manipulation, right? To an extent. I say manipulation, but I mean it in a good way. But anyways, right, the plan is this, right, on the tobacco front, and a similar plan could be rolled out for cannabis should it become legalized. So you ban it, you prohibit it in all public spaces, just outright. You cannot smoke in public places, okay, at all, which is, it's already like that, right? So anyways, right, so the second thing is you regulate the tobacco production, right? So you attack or lobby the tobacco companies to bring down the potency of the nicotine and the ammonia, right? Because ammonia makes the nicotine go to your brain faster, basically gives you a rush like a drug. Okay, these are the various chemicals inside the tobacco products. It's not just the nicotine, it's other things. It's basically chemistry. Okay, so you regulate the tobacco production, so you bring down the strength of the nicotine, which makes it easier for the people who are currently using the tobacco product to get off of it. So they're looking to bring it down by 95%, right? That's a lot, right? So that means people who are currently addicted to tobacco products will still be able to buy the tobacco products, but it will slowly become weaker and weaker and weaker, making it easier for them to get off. So that's one part of the strategy. The other part of the strategy is making it totally illegal for anybody after the age of 2009 to purchase any tobacco products, and making the age go up by a year every single year, right? So that's the plan, to make sure there's no future smokers. So you don't criminalize the people who are currently smoking, you help them get off. So you've got to regulate the tobacco production, reduce the potency, eliminate new users from coming in, and then the third thing is you have to provide cessation services for the current smokers, meaning getting them. I disagree with vapes personally, but the NHS is apparently saying it's okay. I think NHS is being lobbied in the same kind of Palantir way with the vaping industry, right? Which is basically part of the tobacco industry. But anyways, right, that being said, so you provide cessation services, so it'll be like patches, chewing gums, talking therapies, distraction, or like various different types of ways to help people who are currently addicted. So you reduce the potency, you block younger people from getting in, and you give cessation services, all right? But the fourth thing, which I'm advocating for, which I'm currently practicing, is you raise the social consciousness around it to eliminate the veneer of coolness, okay? So that also helps limit the influence within the family unit, within the friendship groups. So there, like, that would be the strategy ultimately, okay?
No further questions, Your Honor. You really came here. Like, damn. Like, I was anticipating, like, yeah, but there'd be speakeasies, like the speakeasies back when they illegalized alcohol, that wouldn't work. Like, I expected this to be a back and forth. We'd have to, figure it out. My son, you're like the anti-tobacco Avenger.
Nah, not even close.
You have a backstory like cigarettes killed my pa.
Well, they did.
Sentient cigarette took him out.
They did. Right, so yeah.
Oh,
I do have the origin story. No, I'm just trolling, but yeah.
All right, I'm gonna drop. Like, you really got your stuff together. Keep up the good work.
I thought we was gonna have an argument. I thought we was gonna have an argument. Nah, I would never do the Lord's work. That's the other thing we got to get banned. Gotta get all lords must be banned. No more lords. No more kings,
all right,
dude. Joking.
I just had some questions for you about that, but like you came prepared, so
yeah, like
take care.
Prohibition isn't the same kind of thing, but big up to you, Derek, man. We should talk about it another time.
Okay.
Right, chill. Take it. All right, anyone else want to come up? That's a dude fresh out of the dare. Do you know what, right? I vaguely remember as a child when a police officer came into school and they had like a wooden like suitcase thing, right? You know, like when you get like those bug collectors. I know it's kind of creepy to collect bugs, or you get like butterflies, like caterpillars, all these different things just like in a nice little case. The police officer came in and he had the case. It was just a bunch of random looking shapes and substances, right? I remember that, right? Obviously, I wasn't good enough influence, but at least they tried, right? You know. And still, what's the propaganda? Yeah, I don't actually know about Michael Phelps. How about you come up, Mystic Flow, and you educate me on it? But look, right, people are going to do what they want to do at the end of the day. But our job is to make society better for everyone that's currently alive and the people who will be alive in the future. It's absolutely possible. It's not some like yeah, but look, that's another part of the problem, gang. Right? That's another part of the problem. The influence through media. Okay, so like Sanji being a good example of, like, you know, the archetype of the cigarette smoking chef. Right? These are parts of the cultural influence that's being done on such a deep level. Like, it goes unnoticed. Like we was talking about the other day, how smoking has been a consistent theme in Metal Gear Solid all the way up to Metal Gear Solid 4. So yeah, like, I forget what his name is, the guy who makes One Piece. But if you could reach him and say to him, hey, look, unwittingly maybe you're making kids think it's cool to smoke cigarettes because Sanji's always got a cigarette in his mouth. Why not make it so when you're writing in the future, that's it, older, why not make it so we find out that Sanji just has candy sticks instead, right? Like, stuff like that. I know this sounds like again, I'm an atheist, right? So don't confuse me with some like crazy, like super like Christian type of like holistic kind of nonsense, right? But on a deep level, right, the media is a big part of the reason why kids end up smoking cigarettes in the first place, you know? It was, look, right, so in, I think it was the 50s or the 60s, right, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, famous psychoanalyst, right, Edward Bernays, right, he cooked up a campaign which would become modern day, basically, propaganda, right? Propaganda became a dirty word after World War II. But propaganda is basically psychological warfare through the means of media, and rhetoric, speaking, etc. Okay? But one of his most well-documented campaigns was a smoking campaign, right? So prior to Edward Bernays' whole existence, right, smoking propaganda was all over the Americas, all over Europe, right? So there'd be posters, doctors would prescribe it and get behind it, lawyers, all kinds of people would make smoking seem like this really cool thing to do. Like, think of a character that was written like the Fonz, or I can't remember what show he was in, but his whole thing was to make cigarettes look cool. Right, even though he was like a weirdo. in modern day, if you walk around acting like the Fonz, you're a weirdo. Okay, just straight up like that. But anyways, the book I'm reading is actually breaking down the concept of cool and how it is basically the hollowing of, how does she put it? Anyways, alright, I'm getting distracted. So basically, Edward Bernays, one of his biggest marketing campaigns, right, or propaganda attempts, was to get women to start smoking cigarettes. How did he do it? He had a bunch of women march through the streets smoking cigarettes as a part of, or air quotations, a part of women's suffrages, right? Not the suffragette movement, which was a part of women's rights. So he made it appear as if there was a link between female or women's liberation and the consumption of cigarettes, right? Ayn Rand, who's a philosopher and writer, was also a part of that same problem, right? Linking your philosophy, your liberation to a substance, right? But Edward Bernays done it in like a crazy way. So he had women walk through the streets smoking cigarettes as a form of liberation. It was like, oh look, women are standing up to men via smoking. But what was actually underlining is that corporate America wanted to gain access to the other half of America's finance, right? The money, okay? Because women were at home, okay? So they wanted to be able to access that money, that resource, by getting women. So there's positive feminism, just to be clear. Women should have rights, should be able to work, should be able to do whatever the hell a man does as well. But there's positive feminism, and then there's like subversive feminism, meaning these corporations, these ideologies infiltrated the feminist movement at a certain wave of it, right? This Edward Bernays situation was one of those infiltrations, right? So he had them march through the streets smoking cigarettes and linked the substance consumption of cigarettes with female or woman's liberation, right? But it was a farce, because what it did was F over the female population, but it was done to access that other half of the family income. Women, okay? All right, so it was never about actually providing women with liberation. It was a type of propaganda which created a whole nother generation of female smokers, right? So like many tropes, you'll see like poets with cigarettes, like, you know, the little black beret, and like all the little French get up, a coffee and a cigarette, right? A Coke and a smile. This is like long-term marketing strategy, consumer psychology and propaganda, all interlinked. So the point was how Sanji has a cigarette in One Piece is an extension of that. Now Oda may have like subconsciously been exposed to all of that historic propaganda around cigarettes and tobacco, so he creates a character like Sanji, right? Like chefs actually live out that archetype of the overworked chef, stressed out, smoking a cigarette while cooking 3 dishes. It's a type of archetype that people play into because it's been designed for them psychologically. Okay, and there's many of those types of archetypes walking around in society, some positive, some negative. But the actual production and consumption of tobacco is maintained by that psychological warfare and propaganda because it's not a natural choice. Yes, you can like go back in time and see like certain types of native people interacting with the tobacco leaf in various ceremonial ways. Yes, you can have very good uses for nicotine, but nicotine can be extracted and used like as a substance independent of intoxicating or like, you know, toxic smoking. Okay, medically we've isolated nicotine from the tobacco leaf ages ago, right? In the same way with you guys who are addicted to cannabis, they've isolated THC and various other cannabinoids, whatever, CBD, from cannabis ages ago, right? So aside, the fact that you still smoke the chemical is the propaganda. That is the perpetual consumer cycle, which, you know, like, again, I'll say it again, right? 80% of all smokers start smoking before the age of 18. So the plan is obviously to get lifelong customers, short life customers, right? Because the product is actually killing them. What would be the point in making a product to sell to 50 to 80-year-olds, right? It doesn't make any sense, okay? Between 50 and 80, right? Oh, thanks for letting me know, bro. Mic's too loud. Between the ages of 50 and 80, you are significantly more health conscious than a 10 to 20-year-old. Because you know, right, you've got more days behind you than you've got ahead of you. So you can't sell that type of person something that's destructive to their health, right? You have to manipulate the young person who's got their whole life ahead of them to cut that life short in favor of a substance, okay? So it's a finesse. It's an absolute finesse. It's a robbery of freedom. It's a robbery of autonomy, and it should be stopped, bro. It's literally killing people. 8 million people a year, right? So come up here if you disagree, right? I want to hear one good reason why anyone should smoke. 1 second, Jake. Of course, I'm reading the comments, you loser. I'm just not reading your comments because you're a loser. Anyways, joking. I don't think this person is here. Well, anyways, Jake may or may not connect, but I'm gonna play Tekken. I'm gonna learn how to play Tekken. What's up, Jake?
What up, broski?
Man said I'm a fascist. Right, come up here and explain to me how I'm a fascist when you get a minute. What's up, Jake? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think you're a fascist by any means.
Nah, someone said that.
I just think it's kind of crazy to make a general statement like smoking should be banned as a whole. That is just kind of crazy to me. I see your point about with nicotine specifically.
Yep.
Long customers. Sorry, my bad. I said I think that the whole statement as a whole is pretty generalized, and I don't appreciate that. I like your idea about the nicotine. I think that you're right about that. I think it is a propaganda movement, and I think it's not a very good thing. I do smoke nicotine personally, but I can also admit that it's not a very healthy habit that's not good for you. But at the same time, there are things like medical marijuana that help seniors who have like arthritis.
Yeah, that's a separate thing though, is it not?
Wait, what?
So medical production and use is separate from recreational use. So I think we should always make a clear distinction when we talk about that.
Okay, well, yeah, well, the statement is all smoking, though.
Yeah, so I disagree that marijuana should be smoked in medicinal settings, right? Like I just finished saying, you can extract the best properties of marijuana and use them independently of inhaling smoke. It's been done a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay. And you think it's an issue if we don't only use the certain parts that are extracted, like the CBD part of it?
Hey, like if you had if you was experiencing pain, right? you would go and get a painkiller. So it doesn't mean you would necessarily go find the plant which the painkiller is derived from, you know?
Yeah.
Right? But in this sense, I think, again, if you're aware of the propaganda that surrounds tobacco, you should also be somewhat, at least semi-aware of the propaganda that surrounds cannabis, right? From rappers to way back in the 60s with Cheech and Chong, or 70s, I think, right? And various other things, movements that surround the promotion of cannabis use all the way up until today. Some argue, right, the introduction of these psychoactive drugs on a mass level was actually a psyop on behalf of your government, particularly the CIA. Okay? It's a long-term destabilization tactic to go into communities, mess them up economically, psychologically, to control them politically. Okay?
So you think that's the only reason?
No, it's also a part of it. Marijuana is a naturally, cannabis, the plant, is a naturally occurring herb. Of course it is, right? But what you're looking at today, since I believe the 80s, when skunk was actually invented, because skunk was invented, right? It doesn't grow naturally like that. What you're looking at...
Weed?
Right, so there's a separation between original cannabis, the weed, right, that actually does flower, and what you call today a skunk, right, buds.
Yes.
Skunk is chemically engineered, it's created, like a banana is created. Like, the bananas you see today don't occur naturally like that. Right? Various other fruits are like that also. They just do not occur like that naturally. If you encounter the natural banana or natural apple, you wouldn't be able to eat it, okay? In the same way is what has happened with cannabis, right? Now, of course, cannabis traditionally existed mostly in the black market. But you have to always also remember there were instances historically of the CIA flying in pounds and pounds and pounds of cannabis and cocaine to various different countries that inhabit South America during the whole combat between capitalism and communism, right? So in the same way that during the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, they flooded Afghanistan and Iraq with pornography, okay? It's a type of psychological warfare. It's a type of long-term destabilization. If I can get you chemically dependent on something, then I've got you. Because the chemical...
But with cannabis, you can't... There's literally not a physical way to become dependent on it. It's not addictive at all. No. Cannabis isn't addictive.
Incorrect.
Scientifically, it's proven that it's not addictive.
Alright, so let me give you the sources on it, right? What cannabis does, right, is it raises your dopamine, okay? You get addicted to that because your body stops producing dopamine. So the cannabinoids interact with your endocrine or whatever, endocannabinoid system, right? So long-term use, your body gets addicted to that. So initially, let's say you come in the door as a cannabis smoker and you come in at around the 20% THC marker, right? So that's kind of mid to low, right? 20% and down is medicinal use. 20% and up is hardcore drugs, right? Essentially, right? It's high potency and it damages the brain. So let's say an average smoker, which isn't true today, comes in at around a 20% marker. You build what's called a, I forget, not a resistance, but you adapt to that substance at that concentration.
A tolerance.
A tolerance, that's it, right? So you adapt to that 20% marker. And after a while, because your body has stopped naturally producing the dopamine, right, you need to start seeking higher forms of the same substance. If you just like keep it real, you're not going to go smoke crack, you're not going to go smoke heroin or whatever. You're going to look for marijuana, but just better tasting, higher potency marijuana, which is how it works, okay? So you eventually edge up from 20%, 30%, 50%, and now you're in the 80 to 90% range, right? Which is basically chemically enhanced drugs, okay? E.g. the invention of skunk was that, and the original invention of skunk was sitting around the 30% marker. Today it's between 80 and 90%. Okay, that's basically opioids, hard drug strength. Okay, it's not normal. So that is the addiction process. Now, of course, you've got the psychological part of addiction. Half of addiction is psychological, meaning you get emotionally attached to the moments on the types of tools and gadgets you use to use the substance. You link it to good moments or good memories that you reconstruct, and you think, oh, that memory was great because I was on that substance. That's part of the addiction, which is what's known as chasing the dragon, to re-experience that feeling which you can never experience again. That's the psychological part of addiction, right? But then there's the chemical dependency, which does what I just explained, right? It dampens your natural...
But when you say dependency, though, like I have a hard time thinking about that, because in my mind, I've been smoking since I was 14 basically, and I'm 20 now.
That's
so it's been about
unfortunate.
6 years about now, and I could stop on a dime's notice
No, brother,
right now
you
if I
couldn't.
wanted to.
Right, so
I absolutely could because I know I've done it before,
Right,
and I've
so-
gone somewhere where I didn't smoke for months on end, and then I decided I was like, oh,
that's chill.
well, I got nothing going on, I might as well.
Right,
It's not
but
like
have-
I was
have
like,
you
oh,
ever-
I'm feeling
have you
withdrawal and I
have you
need
ever had a
this.
conversation with a crackhead or a meth addict?
Yes,
or an
I talk to those
alcoholic?
people all the time. I actually work with them.
Have you ever heard them say exactly what you just said?
No, absolutely not. 'cause
You've never
lot of
heard a
the time I can
crackhead say,
tell-
"I could stop
No, you
anytime
can
I
tell
want."
You can tell they're lying.
You've never heard.
There's a difference between being
So,
dependent
so what
and
you
them lying
do
to
you
and
think?
sitting here.
Do you think what you're saying is convincing me?
I think as someone who's not homeless and living on the street
Right.
and has a good life and a roof over my head, yeah, absolutely, I
Right,
should be
so
way
yes,
more believable than a homeless person.
That's
yes.
called high functioning addiction. Right? You should know that.
It's not.
You
though.
should
There's
know
a
that.
difference between
You
high
should
functioning
know that if
addiction
you
and then
work with
being able to
people in
stop when you
recovery.
want.
Brother, you should know that if you work with people in recovery. You're a high functioning
And you have to realize, though,
addict,
there's a
okay?
difference
What I'm
between so you
talking
don't
about.
smoke right now.
Of course not.
Okay, so
Right?
again,
But I'm going to give you the science on it, right? You cannot.
as someone who
you-
could,
you-
as
your
someone who
anecdotal
smoked
experience
for
is
years
nonsensical.
on end, it's not nonsensical. I know for a fact that if you, it's there's no withdrawals. What name me three
Listen,
withdrawals.
all right,
Name me three
okay.
withdrawals.
Look, listen, okay. Because the chemical
They're not off of
substance.
Google.
Because what the fuck are you talking about, right? Where are you gonna find your scientific data on Google Scholar, right? Anyways, right? Nonsense aside, stupid kind of talk not on Google. Right? Use Ask Jeeves then if you don't like Google.
Bro, brother,
Weirdo.
I
Anyways,
like no Wikipedia,
anyways, this ain't Wikipedia, bro. But anyways, right? Like I just explained, right? The THC, right, which is a chemical, interacts with your brain, your endocannabinoid system, right? Like I just explained. And over time, the use of THC on that system raises your dopamine receptors. Oh, sorry, I'm explaining it incorrectly. You get basically addicted to that feeling of dopamine raising, and your body stops producing dopamine on its own. Okay, so when you're not able to access that substance, you experience the same type of what do they call them, symptoms as an alcoholic, as a crackhead, as a heroin addict. Just maybe not on the same extremes, but you do feel it, like the irritability, the irritation, basically, the mood swings, right? Bad decision making. All of these things affect you as well, right? Look, it has something to do with your reward system. It's as simple as that, all right? You're training your brain on a chemical substance. Maybe I'm not explaining it correctly, but yes, there are symptoms of withdrawal of cannabis because it's addictive, okay?
Brother, I'm sorry, but like as someone who has been around people who have smoked for years, and as someone who has smoked for years and who has taken breaks and has
How old
stopped
are you
for
again?
a long amount of time.
How old are you again?
I'm 20 now.
Right, so exactly, you're a drop in the ocean in terms of battling addiction societally, right? You're exactly the type of demographic
But I don't have
we're
addiction.
trying to save.
I'm not addicted.
You're exactly the type of demographic we're trying to save. 80% of smokers start before the age of 18. They're chemically right. So 80% of smokers start before the age of 20, to be exact, and the exact amount I can't remember, but majority of them are chemically dependent by the ages of 16 and 18. Okay. Your prefrontal listen, brother. Your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed till after age of 25. Okay, so
Yes,
you
brother,
began
smoking
smoking
before that point hurts your prefrontal cortex. Yes, I know this.
right.
Yes,
You
I've heard
began
this before.
smoking at the age of 14. You are 20 now, so you've got 6 years
Yep.
in already.
Yep.
Okay, you
Yep.
cannot tell me, an adult who's listening to what you're saying, that you aren't an
How old are you?
addict. Right? I'm older than you. I'm an
How old are you?
adult, a responsible adult.
How old are
Okay,
you?
I'm older than you. That's all you need to know. Right?
All right, bro.
But look, until
dude, again,
you
I
haven't
absolutely
even
can tell
you
you-
haven't
I
even
absolutely
reached
can tell you I'm
25
not
yet,
addicted.
alright? You haven't
So
even
here's
reached
the
25
problem.
yet.
Here's the problem with people. Here's the problem with people who have this view that you have. Because even say someone who goes and says, "Oh, I know I can stop," or "I've stopped before." You go, "No, that's not true. You're addicted. You
You
just
can
don't
stop.
know it because
No, I
don't
think
know
you
the
can stop.
effects."
I do think you can stop. I'm living proof of that. You can stop if you want to, right? But you need to be able to know why you're doing what you're doing in the first place, how it happened, and how to fix it.
Why
okay?
does it matter
If
though
you-
if it doesn't affect you?
Right, so it does affect me. It affects our whole society. It affects your family, your friends, your economy, your country, you, okay, and your interactions with the people you go out into the world and affect. So it does affect me. I wouldn't do this if I didn't care. Okay, I'll just be like, yeah, fuck you, smoke, kill yourself. I don't care, but I do care. All right.
I mean, hey, fair enough, man. I appreciate I appreciate you caring for everyone. I don't know, man. I just think the idea
But the addiction rates,
you know-
10 to 30%, right? Is how many people? Right. So anyways, look, just forget it. Right. I'm wasting my time talking about this. But sure, say what you want to say.
Nah, bro. I'm here to listen, dog. I'm not here to like argue like the whole thing with you. I'm here to have a conversation, bro. Scheme.
All right. So the dependency matrix, roughly 10 to 30% of regular adult users develop a clinical dependency cannabis use disorder, right? However, for individuals who begin using regularly during adolescence, they are 3.5 times more likely to develop serious or severe addiction than those who start as adults, right? That comes from some site called Priory or something like that, right? iPriori or something like that, okay? But what I'm trying to say to you is you've already been trapped at the age, look, like the worst age possible. Again,
Define like trapped.
Right, so chemical dependency, right? It damages your cognitive functions, things like reasoning, things like memory, things like coordination, right? Being able to hold data and just basically functions that are necessary to be a good, healthy adult, right? So chemical dependency damages those things. Not only does it damage those things, it actually steers your decision making towards said thing. Have you ever had the feeling of being hungry before?
Yeah, I would hope so.
Right, so when you're experiencing the feelings of being hungry, it's not just a mental thing. That's your body sending signals to you saying, hey,
Yeah, it's a physical reaction to the
Right.
non-eating and the yes, I
chemical
understand, yes.
chemical dependency is the same as hunger, except it's a delusion. It's like not a delusion, it's a finesse of your bodily functions, basically. So it makes decisions for you, just like being hungry makes decisions for you. This is why you can't
So
simply
do you
say,
think people who smoke
No,
and
this is what I'm
smoke
saying.
on like a regular basis
This is why you
have
can't
like do you think
simply
they have
say-
control?
this is why you can't simply say to a crackhead, hey, just stop smoking crack. You can't simply say to an alcoholic, hey, just stop drinking alcohol.
Yeah,
they,
but so
they are
but can you
chemically
admit that there's a
no,
distinct
brother.
difference between
There
alcohol
isn't.
and
This is
crack
what I'm trying to
versus
say.
weed?
No, this is what I'm trying to
There
say to
is
you.
though.
They
There's
are
a
chemically
big
altered.
difference between addiction line
Brother,
between alcohol and
right,
with crack. There's a big
you're talking
addiction
about the
difference.
cultural. You're talking about the cultural and moral view around that particular substance. There is a difference between crack and alcohol. Obviously, it's a different substance, but we're talking about the chemical reactions, right? So if you're a biochemical being, right, an agent made up of various different chemicals, and I introduce a new chemical into your body so consistently that your body stops producing that chemical, I have now altered you chemically. So I can't just tell you to stop being who you are, because the cannabis is a part of you now. Chemically, biologically, the alcohol is a part of you now. Chemically, biologically, the nicotine is a part of you now. Chemically, biologically. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying to you, right? That is the
I
chemical
absolutely
part.
believe you. I agree with
So
you.
right,
I
you've
just
got
think there
that
is-
plus the psychological part. So you cannot say you're not addicted, because the decisions that you're going to be making once you're chemically dependent will steer you towards the substance. That is what the chemical part of addiction is.
Yes.
Okay?
Again, when you say the word addicted is when you literally can't go without something without either going through withdrawals or going through a period of time with something that you literally have to have at a
Right.
certain point at a certain time in your life all the time. That's addiction.
What do you think the
so
threshold
if you
for that
can
is?
make the choice. Sorry, what?
What do you think the threshold for that is? Once a year?
Well,
Once a
depending on
month?
what are we talking about?
2
Are we
or 3
talking about
times a
weed,
month?
Alcohol, crack.
I'm saying to you, anything, right? What is the threshold? Once a year? Once a month? A couple times a month?
I think
Once
with
a week?
alcohol,
What is
I
the
think
threshold
difference.
for
I think with
addiction?
alcohol, it's probably if you do it
No,
I'd say if
brother,
you do it
don't-
at least 4 times a week, I think that's a threshold there. I think with crack, if you do it at least once a week, that's also another threshold. And then with weed, I'm a little more biased on weed, but I think if I was gonna look at
Obviously.
it from an objective standpoint, I think it'd probably a couple times a week, realistically.
All right, so what we're talking about really is a subjective view, okay? In all
Yes,
honesty,
obviously.
right? But the thing is, if you use it regularly, all right? So there is actually
Okay, and also, please
the
define
criteria.
regularly so I
The
have an idea
criteria
what you're talking about.
for basic categories: impaired control, physical dependence, social problems, risky use. There are various different ways. Like, there are various different people who prescribe what is addiction.
Yeah, there's also different ways to define independence and being independent on a drug and being addicted to a drug as well.
But it really also depends on the governing body that you're citing, right? I'm saying regular use is a part of addiction, okay?
Again, what are you defining as regular use? Is that an
All right,
everyday?
so if you were just experimenting, right, you're just like, I'm just going to try this one time, that wouldn't be an addiction. But if you decide to do the thing again, right, you're already chemically inclined towards that thing. And the more often you do it, is the more often you'll do it in the future. That's the cycle. It's like a snowball effect. I know it's like a slippery slope fallacy, but genetically, it actually works like that.
Okay.
Right, so the reason why you're going to use it in the future is because you've used it prior. That's a part of the addiction, right? Are you okay, bro?
Sorry, you there? My bad. I got bad internet. I keep lagging out. Might be.
Right, simply put, right? You began to use a substance at the age of 14. You are now 20, right? You're in the prime window for the addiction, basically, right? To begin smoking initially at 14 means you didn't make a rational decision. In truth, as a society, we can actually say your free will, your ability to choose was coerced from you, right? You were manipulated into beginning to smoke. Now, you as an individual, you can claim to have great will, you can claim to be an automaton and just live in a bubble, right? You could go on to do great things, which I hope you do, right? I think you can also get off drugs, because anyone could do it, right? But the fact that you find yourself where you are speaks to the addiction, okay?
What the fuck?
Bro?
Okay. Alright, you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Bet. Alright, word.
Made by, come back up, bro. I'm gonna bring you up. Bro, drop down. Anyways, right, look. It's my own fault for not just being like very straight stick to the fact type of shit, right? But there's no denial that cannabis is addictive, bro. It's just, to deny cannabis is addictive is addiction speaking, in my opinion. In all honesty, right? That is exactly what it sounds like. But hey, I'm trying to find a way where I can just highlight stuff without having to go through the whole bloody page. Scarlet King, that's cap, bro. You don't need to smoke for medical purposes. You can literally get the extract if you needed that specific type of medication. That's cap. You smoke because you're addicted. That's all there is to it. Do you know how many different levels and types of painkillers exist in the world? For you to tell me you need to smoke weed for medicinal purposes, get the fuck out of here. If you were never exposed to cannabis or smoking in the first place, that wouldn't even be your first thought to go to for medical help or intervention. So just chatting crap, bro. Right, hold up, guys.
Admiral, a few city blocks have been lost. The top brass has given us attack orders.
C'est inutile. Ignorez ça. Reben, donnez la priorité au sauvetage des survivants. Vous vous montrez finalement tel que vous êtes vraiment. 世界の人類に告げる。
貴様ら人類は武器や兵器に頼りすぎ軟弱な生物と化した。この世界を牛耳っているのは自ら戦うことを忘れた弱者どもだ。臆病者が作った社会やルールになぜおとなしく従う。バカバカしい。目を覚ますがいい。
くだらぬ世界のルールを俺が書き換えてやる。ふん。
部隊との通信途絶。軍事衛星が次々と撃墜されています。俺が支配する世界で生きる資格があるのは力を示せる者だけだ。
ここに俺はザ・キング・オブ・アイアンフィストトーナメントの開催を宣言する。
強き者はトーナメントに集え。
己の拳で栄光を勝ち取るがいい。ただし
力を示せぬ弱者は国ごと消えてもらうことになる。
さあ全人類よ、世界を闘争で満たせ。
俺は負けたのか。俺はお前に飲まれなどしない。俺はあいつとは違う。俺は
いいジン。風間の拳は
since Kazuya Mishima, head of G Corporation, shot down the key military satellites. While the militaries of the world are unable to function, the qualifiers for G Corporation's tournament have begun. The whole world is watching this tournament that gives power to the victorious country and levies penalties on the loser.
ベッドの上は1週間で飽きたか？いつまでも寝ていられるか？どれぐらい動けるようになったか試してやる。殺すつもりで来る。その覚悟見せてもらおう。ファイト。
still watching. Anyways, I was gonna stay on longer, but for you. Anyways, right, yeah, look. Realistic fiction. Alright, cool, anyways. Alright, so what we're gonna do is pick this up tomorrow, maybe. Call it a day. So people asking me questions about alcohol on YouTube, yes, I do feel the same way about alcohol, but it's a matter of time till we sort it out. Bro, you use the N word too frequently, that lets me know.